Bienvenidos, ¿qué tal? Welcome back. How's it going? As we dig into some core paint-specific Spanish terms and phrases, we want to take a step back to look at the three main elements of this program that we're going to focus on. The first element, obviously, is this. You're here for a reason. It is because you want to learn paint-specific terms and phrases. So that's what we're going to zero in on. The second element is high-frequency terms and phrases. There are entire books that are dedicated to understanding what are the most frequently used terms and phrases in print and in conversation. So by focusing on paint-specific terms and phrases, the most frequently used ones, we're going to build your vocabulary very quickly. The third element is then Spanish twins. Spanish twins are words that are either identical or nearly the same in both languages. And today, we're going to start off with 6 specific Spanish twins that are relevant for you. Obviously, we're going to start at the top when we're talking about paint. So, ¿cómo se dice? How do you say paint? Well, that is pintura. Pintura. Remember the burrito rule of pronunciation? That I makes the long E sound, so it's pintura. Now, who is a person that uses pintura? Right, that is a pintor. Pintor. So you have multiple pintores. We are going to add an ES on the end. So pintores. So la pintura for paint and pintores for painters. Now, what do pintores who are using la pintura, what do they need? Well, yeah, they're going to need a brush. That's also a Spanish twin. It's brocha. La brocha. La brocha. So yeah, el pintor usa la brocha. He uses a brush. So brocha means brush. Well, what about color? Color is an identical Spanish twin. It's el color. Emphasis on that second syllable, color. El color. So we have pintura, pintor, el color, and we're using una brocha. We're using a brush. Now, before we get too far, let's keep an eye on the most important thing here. Yeah, a customer. And your customer, I want you to think of a client because it's el cliente. Cliente. Again, use the burrito rule of pronunciation here. Client, add an E on the end. Cliente. And what does the cliente have? Yeah, your customer, your client, el cliente, they got a project. So for project, we're going to drop the J. We're going to add a Y instead, and we're going to add an O on the end for proyecto. Proyecto. So your cliente has a proyecto, which is going to require un pintor with pintura, and he's going to use a brush, una brocha, that applies, yeah, color. So you can see these 6 terms here. These are all examples of Spanish twins, and you're going to see more and more of these. And as we learn more terms, we're going to build them into longer phrases. But there are a couple words as we get started now that you're going to need to know as well. On the vast majority of jobs that are either in the interior, it's an identical Spanish twin, interior, or the exterior, identical Spanish twin, exterior, we're going to need a ladder. So, ¿cómo se dice? How do you say ladder? So, a ladder in Spanish is una escalera. Escalera is a ladder. And for this, obviously, I see, right? You escalate up a ladder. You can escalate upstairs as well. So escaleras, by adding an S on the end, becomes stairs. So yeah, escalera and escaleras, ladders and stairs are the same. Now you might be thinking, well, wait a minute. What if I have 2 escaleras, 2 ladders? Would that be the same as stairs? Escaleras. Yes. However, stairs and ladders, if they're both in the same place, quite frankly, they don't get very confused very often. So trust that you'll be okay. But think of both ladders, una escalera, and stairs, escaleras, are both things that you escalate up. So hopefully that makes sense. But at the end of the day, it's important that we make a sale, we make a purchase. So, ¿cómo se dice? How do you say to buy? To buy, the verb is comprar. Comprar. Comprar is to buy. And I remember that because, well, what do you do before you buy? Before you comprar? Well, you compare, right? So those are pretty similar. Compare, comprar. So first you compare, and then you comprar. So comprar means to buy. And lastly, speaking of un doble, a double, there's one that's really, really important that you're going to be using all the time. And it's this word, combination of words actually, lista, which is a list, and listo, which means ready. So a list like tienes una lista or tienes una lista de compras. Do you have essentially a shopping list? Do you have a list of things you need to buy? Tienes una lista, right? Do you have a list? L-I-S-T-A. But if we change that A to an O, that means are you ready? So you can say estás listo. ¿Estás listo? Like, are you ready to go now? ¿Estás listo a comenzar? Are you ready to begin? So there, I know I threw a lot at you in this video, but if you soak this in and you do the pages in the workbook, you are going to be well on your way to using these terms every single day. Hasta luego. We'll see you in a bit.